stir it up and do things our way. So if you wanna move, get out of our way.
Hey, hey.
Hello.
Well, hello there, guys. Boy, how I've missed you.
We missed you, to be honest.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. It's okay. It's all right.
Too many white bald guys. Nobody needs another podcast with too many white bald guys.
You said it. I didn't.
I'm a little tan right now, at least, though. I just got back from a pool party, couple White Claws deep. Maybe I'll get us sued today.
Ooh, please, let's do that. I've got.
You haven't
it's been
gotten
a while.
sued. You haven't gotten us sued yet, and
I've been promising you that since day one.
Our expectations are nothing now.
I'm letting you down.
Yeah, we're like 4 years in. What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Promises.
Well, I guess if we're going to have to downsize to a casita, we better jump right into it. Orange County this week.
Woo!
Mm-hmm. Ladies playing, middle-aged women playing flag football. My favorite.
Oh, okay. I have a question about that. That just seems so forced. Like,
yeah.
And I feel like in other series, other shows, if that was for like a charity, I get it. If it was some sort of fundraiser for, flag football for some charity, okay. But they just randomly are playing on like what Emily put it together. It's just so forced to get them all together. And the fact that even though they were picking teams, just randomly all the enemies were on opposite teams. Like what Jenn and Gina were against each other. Shannon and Alexis were against each other. Katie, I guess, hates Heather, and Heather was the ref, but whatever. It was way too perfect.
Heather came through because the only thing that interested me in this game of flag football was picturing Heather doing anything that would get her hands dirty. So it was totally fitting that not only was she away from the action, but she was calling the shots and enforcing the rules. That's Heather Dubrow's role in life. So
I can't even imagine her doing Pilates. Like the most she really likes to lift are heavy words and heavy shopping bags.
Yeah.
She did have 2 whistles. That was nice.
Yeah. I bet they were, like Tiffany makes like sterling ones. I just feel like she wouldn't get a whistle from Big Five. There would be some Van Cleef twist to anything Heather Dubrow would do.
The real plot twist for me, and I apologize if I'm just making generalizations, but how much Shannon knew about football. Like she was calling out plays, like actual plays, not just describing where to go. She knows ball.
I mean, you know why? Because she went to USC is why. That is why.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, she went to USC in the 80s when we were a powerhouse. So
that is true.
When all there was Coke and football.
Basically, yes.
Yeah. But she started calling out plays. I was like, Shannon knows ball. All right.
I didn't know what a shay was.
But this is the thing. I loved it when they when they were all kind of lined up and they did the monikers. I mean, we're going a little out of order, but the 2 ones that I liked because they were like, give their name and stuff. That was like, it was Shannon, 2 plays, 9 lemons. Because all she knew was 2 plays was the shay and the streak. Or streaker, and then Tamara's was 15 tackles, 0 fucks. Basically, it just was asterisk. But I was like, well, those are the 2 best. But yeah, she knows. At least she knows 2 plays. I don't know 2 plays. Yeah. I don't know. But I went to USC when our football was really crappy. So there you go.
And as any quality competitive football game should go, I like that they're pounding margaritas beforehand, as one does. Why not?
If I would have liked, because this football game is framed as a way for the women to get out their aggression and stuff, but it's flag football, so you're not supposed to have much contact. I don't know. I can't think if any franchise has done it yet, but one of those, what they need are one of those therapy sessions with the foam bats where they just beat each other, truly hit each other. That would be they should do that at BravoCon.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah. Like a cage match.
Or like the old school American Gladiators where they stand up on like those platforms and joust each other. I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
They do that during Love Island games. They should just do that with Housewives.
Mm-hmm.
Katie cracked me up because in her last episode, she talked about how she hates working out and about how she'd drive to her mailbox if she could. And then this time she seemed completely uninterested in playing football. And she even said in her confessional, I wouldn't call myself athletic at all. And then immediately after that, she says, except I was a competitive figure skater for 10 years who competed internationally. I'm like,
Right?
Okay, so you are athletic, because that was impressive. But then she was like, but I don't do it anymore. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Maybe she's traumatized from it. You know what those like
Maybe.
young skaters and gymnasts go through?
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot of pressure. Also, maybe she saw herself as being more of an artistic athlete as opposed to athletic
Maybe.
athlete, even
Mhm.
though skating is super athletic. It's super hard. But anyway.
Mm.
Well, we
That's
learned
what's
last week that she met her husband because she worked for a golf network. She didn't say the golf network, and I was a little confused because her and her husband worked for competing golf networks, and I only know
Mhm.
one, so I don't even know which one worked where. But she said she worked for a golf network despite hating golf and never wanting to play it. So I believe her that she's not. I mean, you're right. Maybe she was turned against sports for the rest of her life. She has no interest.
She seems like the human embodiment of cognitive dissonance. Like, I hate golf, but I'll work for a golf network. I don't consider myself athletic, even though I was a junior world silver medalist in figure skating. Like, what?
Yeah.
Mhm. The football game though did have results afterwards at the sit down on the benches. They finally hashed it out to a degree. You had two competing confrontations going on. You had Gina and Jenn Pedranti, and then you had they didn't even really confront each other, but float in the periphery, you had Alexis and Shannon. But I think Jenn stole the show. I really like the conversation should have stopped there when Jenn just said, as a woman who's lived in a casita before.
It was hard. Like, Gina's doing this very emotional, getting like yelling, but it was hard to take her seriously because she was wearing the eye black stickers still, and they were like kind of coming off. So it's like you can't have this emotional fight with you having that ridiculous look on.
Yeah.
Well, it was interesting though, because like I think Jenn is definitely gonna come out in some ways on top this season. That's just my prediction so far. But
yeah.
But at the same time,
sorry,
like,
I'm enthusiastic about her.
That's okay. And I'm not going to say anything bad about her but I just was like, wait a minute. She's 46 and she's never had a credit card in her name. Like, she's my age. Like, we're the same age, and that's like lived completely opposite lives. And I do think it's very interesting that really her and Gina needed the other women there to soften the blows for each of them, to say, look, you guys are coming from the same place. Like, you just burned each other in different ways. Like, but y'all are like living similar, almost parallel lives, just in kind of different ways. And I think that's real. This was a time when talking amongst the other women was a good thing, as opposed to just between the two of each other. This was a good, because most of those women have actually gone through a divorce, except for Emily and Heather.
Yeah. And I mean, even Tamara was like, in their confessionals about it, they were all like, I can see both sides and I understand both sides. Tamara was really trying to referee it, and she's been a divorcee and she's been a realtor. So, I mean, she knew what was going on.
The Tamara in the background was my favorite, when Gina called Jen a squatter, and Tamara had the pizza and just gagged. Like, I actually rewound to go back and look at it again, because Tamara just almost had the pizza and then she goes, ugh. It was incredible. Yeah.
That thing you said about her having never had a credit card, this is a new level for me, because like last week I said she's a true, pure, like classic housewife, just a woman who's gotten by on looks and the kindness of men. But I did not realize it went so far that she had never had a credit card to her name.
I mean, in a sense, like not exactly like, but I mean, she got her MRS degree.
Mhm.
And it's like she went from her parents' house to the sorority house to her husband's house, but she's still a Gen Xer, Zennial, and she lived that life. But she also grew up in Oklahoma, so again, that's kind of expected. Like, there's a lot of people I went to high school and grew up with did the same thing, but I still think that I would think that they had credit cards in their name, but I did think this is what I thought though. I had this idea all of a sudden because Gina vouched for her for this place. I go, this woman doesn't have her own credit score.
No.
Mhm.
I was like, she doesn't.
Yeah.
And so that is really scary. But there was a bit of foreshadowing because somebody said to her, we just don't want you to be in the position because what if something happens to Ryan and you put all your trust and your money into Ryan, like you're living at Ryan's place, he got you you're driving his car and something happens with Ryan. And I was like, well, that's foreshadowing to what happens later on.
Oh,
Yeah.
she flat out said, she said, if something happened to Ryan, I'd be homeless and wouldn't have a car.
That's what it is. But the thing is that she doesn't, at least at this point, she doesn't seem to be, it seems to be all talk and no action. But we'll see.
I mean, they're really criticizing her finances and dependence on Ryan now, and they have no idea. Right now, he's their savior. They have no idea he's about to become like international news.
Yeah.
No, she has to, I mean, like we talked about last week, she doesn't know what he does. She's like, oh, he's just around the house all day. We don't know what he does. But she knows the house, right? Like the fancy house she lives in. So she has to know something shady, right?
I think
Seems like
I
she
think
thinks he made a lot of money and he's semi-retired. I think that's what her thinking is.
I
Or
think there's
she's
a
just
lot of
trying,
willful ignorance.
yeah,
There's a
she's
lot of
trying
willful
not to think,
ignorance.
not to think about it at all.
On a,
She was promised the fairy tale like growing up, and that's what she thought she had with her ex-husband, and then that didn't work out for all those different reasons. And then she thought that Ryan was her new knight in shining armor. And so I just think she's living fairy tale to fairy tale.
on the plus side of this, though, so when it was like, okay, Ryan gave her his car and then, reshuffled the finances and he got a new one. But her new car, is a BMW X7, which is the biggest, most expensive Beamer they make. It's just as expensive as a Range Rover, basically, which she just lost. I thought she was going to pull up in some like spare old,
or just
at least like a Kia Forte or something.
yeah, like just something he had like lying around. Instead, it's like the newest, biggest, nicest BMW they have. I was like, see, she believes, she literally manifests. So
yeah.
First it's manifest, and then, or actually no, first it's Jandoval, and then it's manifest. You're on a roll. You're on a roll, Jordan.
Yeah.
And then Emily thought she had that. Like we've talked about how they try so hard to get these great liners in, like Alexis saying, "There's the door," Shannon Beador. And this time, Emily and Gina were talking about Jenn, and Emily said, "Full glam hair extensions. She's Malibu broke Barbie," thinking that was like an amazing line. And then if you follow Jenn on Instagram, she posted a photo this weekend of her outside at a pool wearing a Barbie bathing suit. So she's just like playing into it. But I mean, that line was not, I mean, I bet that just like "There's the door," Shannon Beador, Emily practiced that line, and it's just dumb.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Emily's super smart, so I don't know if she would have practiced that, but she's probably called her Malibu Barbie before. So it probably came kind of easy to her, but who knows? I'm not going to say that I don't believe that. I think you're wrong, but I do think that she's kind of smart. Like, but anyway,
it doesn't seem like Emily has. I mean, granted, it's only 3 episodes in, but Emily has had like 0 storylines. This time they tried to shoehorn in her boudoir photo shoot for her anniversary, but it wasn't much of a storyline.
She's never been a heavy hitter housewife. She's a filler mid-pack housewife.
She seems like like all the other women go to her to get advice and things, but she doesn't have a storyline of her own. Even her at the end, they talked about her and her husband, and just basically the storyline there is that he's unhealthy. There's no like unhappiness in their marriage outside of that she's concerned that he only drinks soda and doesn't exercise, which that's a totally relatable thing for couples, obviously.
And this boudoir photo is a recycling of an earlier season of hers where for their anniversary she put on a striptease in Vegas.
Oh,
Which
and
he
it was
didn't
so
show up
bad.
to, or it was so I mean this isn't her first go at trying to make this kind of like playful sexy husband gift a story.
At the boudoir photo shoot when the photographer offered them champagne. I love that Shannon was like, I would drink champagne, but I don't drink during the day. And it's like, okay, sure. Keep telling yourself that. Yeah, you're fine.
What do y'all think of like gym/trainer gate?
Oh, with Alexis and Shannon. We need to find this trainer, see if he's putting up IG stories, because get him on the reunion. He needs to make a statement because right now he's at the center of this conflict.
Yeah.
Because it went very quickly it must have happened sometime like overnight between shooting days where he's Alexis's trainer to boom, he tells Alexis to never come back.
Yeah. Well, I also was confused whether or not I felt that it was the owner of the gym telling Alexis not to come back, not the trainer, because the trainer could work at different gyms. Do you know what I mean? And maybe like Shannon worked out at this gym with this trainer, worked with this trainer at this gym, and however those different relationships came up. But then the next thing you know, it seemed that the owner of the gym was telling Alexis and John that he didn't want any drama. But also, like, the fact that Alexis was like, okay, first of all, none of those women can control their dogs, and I was dying. And the fact that, like, yeah, like, oh my gosh, Alexis has a Archie mini-me. You got to be joking with me.
Okay, because the way they even said the Archie and everything, I was confused. I was like, is that Archie or just a dog that looks like Archie? Because if it is Archie, that's truly evil. If it's a dog that looks like Archie, that's just creepy. Like, I mean, she's totally single white femaling this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's everything.
So this is what I'm like, I was like, she's single white femaling it. But then later on, during the boudoir talk, when Shannon and Emily were talking, and she was talking about all the different stuff that Alexis is doing, I go, well, some of it's creepy and some of it's a little single white female-ish. But also some of it is John Jansen. Actually, my opinion is that a lot of it is John Jansen is just an unimaginative, like, love bomber. He does the same thing over and over again to people. Like, this is what he does. Like, he buys them jewelry. He says the same things. Of course, he's going to take them to the Surf and Sand Hotel, because that is, besides like going to the Ritz-Carlton Newport Beach, like that's the nicer place to go on the coast right there. Like, he does the same things over and over again. I'm sure we could find other women that he's dated before these two women where he did the same thing over and over again. I think he's got a routine. And so I think that this is what he does. So a little bit is creepy. And I think that Alexis is just falling for I'm more special than you, Shannon Beador. And that's not the truth here. She's not more special. Shannon wasn't more special than his exes. And so, no, you're just part of the rotation, Alexis. And that's the point. And you need to wake up, because like this man's just pulling the wool over all of your eyes. And I think Shannon's seeing it.
I think Shannon sees it. There's something that's not being said about what went on between Shannon and John, because I'm pretty sure John's a piece of garbage, but there is a point where, and I think this is where Tamara and Shannon, where there's something unspoken, when Alexis is talking about it to Tamara, and she says, I won't stop until, what was it? Till till Shannon stops like ruining John's name or something, and Tamara agrees with her and says she never will. Tamara implied that so there's something, and I'm sure it will either come out in a finale or at the reunion, but there's something not being said about what I can see Tamara screaming it in a Camille Grammer way, like, now we said it. There's something. I'm still trying to figure it out. That's why I'm like, I love to read between the lines.
Yeah, well, I mean, next week she's gonna get the lawsuit from John Jansen being sued for facelift money. So that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, though, they go into Tina. I'm reading my notes, and I combine Travis and Gina. They go into their breakup too, which is a little puzzling because I don't think we're getting the real answer.
There's something missing there too.
Yeah, that man walked out of that house that like he was never coming back.
Yeah.
She might convince herself that they're still together, but they're doing things in reverse, which that's never a good. And he clearly did not want to leave. So that can't end well.
So in the beginning, I thought this was a really crappy excuse that she gave because he called her out for it later, where she's like, it's just we're in different places financially, and I'm finally getting ahead, and I can take my 3 kids on vacation, but I can't take all 6 of us. So it's kind of like, I get that. But then she's like, but our family. Yeah. You just put your kids' trip to Disney World first. You made it, and now you're asking them to move out. So
this is Mike and Carol Brady season 3 deciding they're going to live in separate houses, but the Brady bunch is still going to be a bunch. That's not, it's not how it works.
Something I was gonna say, something that came out this week that I think has a play in this is because why the reason I think they're giving these weird excuses and not being very clear is in the courts, Travis's ex-wife and Travis went to court, and there was a ruling she has to be drug tested for visitation. And they signed, I believe they agreed to non-disparagement agreements. So I think it's something about his ex-wife, because he's not divorced, actually. I think they're still in the process. So Gina had alluded to like the drama with his ex-wife being so toxic. I think there's something there that, again, they didn't want to say.
Listen, I mean, I think there's probably a whole bunch of viewers who watched this, and when she and Travis got together, were first like, oh, you're rebounding too fast, because you don't necessarily know this, Nate, but she broke up with Matt and went through all of her stuff, but she got together with Travis very quickly, and everybody, like women on the show, were like, are you sure? And they like moved in, like Brady bunched this up very fast with their kids and everything, and everybody was like, this is very, very fast. And not that anybody was saying that they thought that Travis was a bad guy, but it was just like, this is super fast. And it's like, you went from one relationship to another relationship very, very quickly without really, really settling. And so she had all this drama with her ex, because also she had a domestic violence issue with him, with Matt, and all of that stuff. And it's really amazing how far it has come. But I think there's a lot of us who watch this and who kind of aren't surprised, even though we don't really know the true issue. We're all kind of going, there's something missing here. We're not surprised that this is happening, because it just, my opinion is kind of like, I think she's just kind of realizing that Travis was a really great guy for a season, and he's not her like really like forever partner, or like a good long-term partner, for probably many different reasons. But I don't think he's a bad man at all.
Yeah, I think like the way like they're looking at, they need a bigger house and stuff. I think she's realizing she doesn't want to buy a bigger house with him. That's a marriage style commitment. And maybe that's where it clicked with her, like this. We need to like slow,
And sometimes that's what happens. Sometimes people sometimes women are okay with a way. It's funny because a lot of times it's like, oh, the woman really wants to get married. But sometimes the woman is fine with the way the relationship is going. And then the man starts talking about marriage, and then she starts going, oh, oh, wait a minute, maybe I don't want to marry you. Maybe like you were fine for right now and it was good. I mean, these relationship tropes that go for like men or women go both ways. So I think you're right, Jordan.
Yeah. One thing I will give Gina too, I'm not a huge fan of her because I love Jenn Pedranti. That is that one thing she does, because she's emphasizing financial responsibility right now and having gone through all this. In that way, it reminds me of Brandi Glanville, who came on the show fresh from a divorce that broke her financially. And both of them don't feel the pressure to blow all their housewives' money trying to be a housewife. And it's actually smart because we talk about the debt you incur to stay on these shows so much. Actually, being the broke one isn't bad because you almost get paid pretty much the same amount. At least they're pocketing something for the future. So,
and you get good storylines.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're making fun of you, but still.
Yeah, still a storyline.
But if you can make it work for you, I mean, I think, I don't know, but is Gina making the working at Chili's memes, work for her?
She did hop in once on one, but
I mean, I would be all up in Chili's and be like, hey, let's do a collab like here. Like, let me get in there. Like, let's do
like the way
stuff.
Sheena did one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's hop on that train. I'd be like, yeah, you want to make fun of me for this? Let's do it. Bring it on. Mention it all.
Well, though, going from like the poorest housewife to a very special guest who is also very, very rich.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I assume you're talking about the point that was exactly 31 minutes and 59 seconds into the episode when there was a big reveal of who was meeting Gina and Katie for brunch. Yeah. It was her.
Sutton Stracke leaves leaves Bel Air and schleps down the 405 in her chauffeured Escalade to grace these simple suburban women of Orange County with her presence. I like that it was a different energy here. She's Queen Bee here. The way she walked in, the way she held court on Beverly Hills, she's not an alpha necessarily. On there, like they wanted to impress her. She was Kathy Hilton walking into Orange County in this episode.
Well, Gina said she and Sutton know each other because Matt used to work not with Sutton's ex-husband, but for Sutton's ex-husband, which probably Gina already thinks she's like a level lower to begin with. And then that was interesting that the background with Katie went like all the way back to Georgia and golf, evidently.
Yeah, but Gina's ex-husband Matt working for what's his name? I want to call him like Topper, but I want to what's Sutton's ex-husband's name? I want to call him like Topper.
Christian. You're thinking of Tinsley.
I am thinking
is
Tinsley.
Topper Mortimer. Yeah.
Like that made more sense. That's when I go, oh, so you actually kind of do know Sutton. Like maybe don't know Sutton, but you do know there is more of a connection there. There are more 6 degrees of separation than I thought. Okay. All right.
Well, and Gina was a little better when she said in her confessional, Sutton did way better in her divorce than I did.
Yeah.
So Gina's husband was like a financial planner or something like that. That level probably made a good income. They lived in Kodo and stuff. But Sutton's husband is a top tier international financial executive. There's a big difference. And yeah.
It was just good to see her. I've missed her on my TV.
This Katie thing, though, they're going over it with Katie is claiming that at Sutton's Christmas party, Heather Dubrow snubbed her. And she's going into this very like Meghan King Edmonds screenshots of her Instagram.
And she was tagged.
I think it feels very forced to me.
Well, I do worry for Katie a bit because I also saw a preview of basically like the first bit basically a preview of next week's episode, and Katie starts talking about Heather again. And I was like, you really need to take Sutton's advice and not go against Heather, especially not at least in your first season. And I just don't want, I like Katie and I don't want her to like basically blow her wad on Heather, on going after Heather this season. But I also feel like Tamra might like even encourage this because of what Tamra like going after Heather last season. So like she basically, from what I saw from the preview, because it has to also go back to Disneyland Gate about, and I just saw like Tamra licking her chops going like, you got screenshots of this? Oh my gosh. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I don't want to do this. No, like let's talk about, I would rather talk about Gym and Trainer Gate. Like let's do that. And Jandoval, I want to do that.
Well, in an interview for the premiere of the season, Heather Dubrow called her Noella Bergner 1.5.
Oh, that is a burr.
Yeah.
Well, when you talk about how it feels very manufactured, it just also feels very one way. Like they're the living embodiment of the Don Draper scene from Mad Men when the guy's like, I feel sorry for you, and Don Draper says, I don't think about you at all. Katie has all these gripes against Heather, and Heather's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So it's very, very one way.
I mean, I wouldn't be like, her whole point at this point is that they were at Sutton's big Christmas party. She like introduced or something. She was standing behind Heather. Heather turned around, looked at her, and looked the other way. I mean, that's just common. It's just like you're in a bit like what was they did. I'm sorry, it just blows my mind that Katie, like, I don't even think it was personal. Like in a group situation like that, you don't register everyone. You're looking for familiar faces or bigger names. But the point is, it's not they weren't old friends and Heather shoved her. She was a stranger standing behind her and she just like looked.
And they weren't being formally introduced, and she didn't go and shake her hand or say hi to her, and just like, that would be rude. But yeah, it's like, I don't know. People get awkward in like rooms. I'm not saying that actually Heather would be awkward in a room, but I can't just see like, yeah, Heather scoping stuff out and not really registering people. Like,
yeah.
What do you think would be the explanation for the tagging of the photo? That seemed odd. Like that was her other gripe.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's something else that my last little theory here is that they're going off two different like instructions or approaches to this season, where I think Heather is sticking to, she's a new cast member, she's just met her, we're going to keep it to the show. Like, you know, when she first was introduced, she said, nice to meet you. Welcome to my party. And Katie is like, no, I've met you before and we're going to act like we have history. So I think Heather's going full blown, oh, we just met, sticking to the script. And Katie's trying to force this history that doesn't, like, I saw you in a grocery store once. Why don't you love me?
Oh my gosh. I saw you at Bristol Farms. Come on, bitch. Acknowledge me. Acknowledge me. We shop at very bougie boutique grocery stores in Los Angeles. Come on.
Well, anything else?
No, I mean, this was somewhat of a filler episode. You know, it wasn't like a ton of like moving the story along. There was some nice resolution, at least among Jenn and Gina, and I'm glad to see that. I loved everybody talking about, including ourselves, talking about the key in Gina's car. But other than that, I'm looking forward to next week's episode. I think it's going to be juicier.
Well, on that note, we're all trying to get invited to Sutton's Christmas party, but especially for Nate. I was going to say,
I already got that invited. If I get a +1, Stacy, you're in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll be in Kathy's trunk, so I'll. So on that note, if you want to help us pitch in and get bring Sutton a nice hostess gift of a Costco pallet of
Ocean spray.
grapefruit juice.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best way to do that is to rate, subscribe, review, and follow. That is Pretty Corrupt Podcast on Instagram and TikTok at Pretty Corrupt Podcast, on Twitter at Pretty Corrupt One, and on YouTube now. So you can see these glowing faces that Sutton will see coming down her chimney the night of her Christmas party. So on that note, share with your frenemies, people who've looked over you, people who stole your trainer or kicked you out of your ex's, your boyfriend's ex's gym. Who wants to say bye?
Toodles.